My name's Alex Herbe. I'm Education Integrations Manager for Play Versus. I work with the Gaming Concepts curriculum as a co-author on the education team. And I am going to be co-hosting this webinar with the wonderful Bubba Gaeddert, who is, if you don't know, one of the early champions of scholastic esports education and a co-founder, or excuse me, a co-contributor to our Gaming Concepts curriculum, which we'll talk about how his contribution, which is massive, and what he's done for us and what he's done for the curriculum. But today, instead of focusing on the technical side like OBS, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the student impact of streaming and shoutcasting in the classroom, and have a conversation about skills, identity, and opportunities, right? So, Bubba, let's start with kind of a big picture, right, of how
Yeah,
this is going to look. How have you seen streaming and shoutcasting empower students who may not typically shine in a traditional classroom?
man, Alex, I get to honestly see it every day now working at the university I'm at, the College of Esports here in London, because we have like a BBC level studio. It's so much fun
Mhm.
to see these students on. We have like 180 like degree green screen and this gallery with all these devices, and I just get to see them come out of their shell. But I think when it comes to maybe shoutcasting or streaming for them in a class setting or with being able to have confidence on their own to go do something at home, or maybe they're streaming for their school, the middle school, high school, university. Yeah, discovering their voice is really really big, especially through what we teach. We actually teach on-air broadcasting, and so it's honestly so fitting for me to talk about this now after spending a year and a half trying to write curriculum with with you guys on shoutcasting and streaming for gaming concepts, and honestly just being practical, but now more of the pracademic, I would call myself in this space. But it's a spotlight. Literally, it's a spotlight for non-traditional achievers. Maybe that's an appropriate way to put that. Always, I go back to the data you guys have of students being engaged in esports clubs after schools or some of the first things they ever do extracurriculars. So giving students agency, identity, giving them autonomy, it really, really helps in the classroom to provide opportunities like that they maybe not get at home because they don't have tech, or maybe not even feel comfortable doing because it's their first time to do thing, or they don't fit in with other clubs. So it's
Yeah.
extremely beneficial. It's a good entry point. It's a good on-ramp, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's so easy. And you mentioned, where you are at currently at the College of Esports, seeing the transformation that students are having. Do you feel that it's because of the experience, or do you think it's because of the wow factor that they're experiencing with the level of investment and the level of, kind of um, stuff that is there for the students
Yeah.
to interact with?
Yeah, I think I won't go too deep into this because I know we'll probably talk about classroom and whatnot, but I would think it's like the feeling of authenticity really, really grows when it comes to the space. And it's really, really enjoyable. I'm very spoiled with a university with a huge studio, and all the students are there for esports. It's not just a university that's like, we have math and English and archaeology and architecture, and we have an esports degree. Like literally, we are building students to with esports degrees and game development. So it's extremely fun. So we're a bit jaded to not just be in a school or high school that's I'm teaching English and then I have a club after school. So I think this idea of the passion that is shown and students being there and not feeling judged and having opportunities is really, really important for having esport clubs, having gaming clubs, doing streaming, teaching them all the kind of tech. You said the wow, and yeah, it happens. But like I said, we'll talk a little about classroom and maybe how that um, this how we start with that to maybe get to the wow, even if it's a just a computer.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that, the wow factor is important in talking about students, engaging with the curriculum, whether it is esports or whether it's
Mhm.
fashion design or it's wood shop,
Mm.
right? If you have industry recognized tools, then you're only setting your students up for success in the future
Yeah.
in their training and on those that equipment. So in that way, I see a lot of parallels to other areas, right? Like we have the
Mhm.
equipment; those can be parallels to industry, but like what parallels do we see with other school activities, um, like debate, theater, you know, in combination with talking about
Yeah.
esports or
The
shoutcasting more
easiest,
specifically?
totally, totally. The easiest example I've done for years is the sports thing, the sports connection, which is funny. Alex, you and I are going to be in Scotland in a few days together, talking to an audience full of 75% of sports nerds. And we were talking about this in our chat last week about how the speaking the sports language and translating that is really one of the easiest routes. Debate and theater is also really, really beneficial because the transferable skills in esports and theater and sports are so um, transferable because a lot of these schools have media departments. I would say a lot of them. There's some schools with some money who have media departments and that the students are creating. And a lot of that with sports, I think, is very beneficial because those ADs and those sports directors will get students to run cameras, to operate the scoreboard, to manage stats. I remember working up in the press booth and like somebody's watching the numbers and the football, who tackled who, and here's me on the mic as a student and then an adult, like number 43 tackled 47. Like it's another transferable skill because I'm on a mic and I'm basically streaming because it's going out on the radio. So yeah, the sports commentary is a very, very easy translation because I mean I've been doing that since 2017, just translating esports and telling people how the esports and gaming and Twitch basically is the Royal Stadium and the field is the game, the dugouts are the players, the jumbotron is the stream, the fans are in the stands, the press box and all that stuff is the production crew. So it's an easy way to translate that for folks. Parallel as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, we have with Play Versus, the gaming concepts curriculum, obviously we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but we have a streaming and shoutcasting course that walks you through everything. But what the parallel that we see that we trying to do from the education standpoint is connect it to those kind of normalized classes that students have and struggle with. And one of them is public speaking, right? And so we
Mhm.
know that shoutcasting and streaming really gives students voice and confidence, right? Is because, public speaking, I'm sure at one point when they devised it 100 years ago for public education, it was designed to say, oh, this will give kids voice and confidence, right? They'll learn how to publicly
Mhm.
speak and, oration and all that stuff. And I think that it's obviously sadly gone way downhill in, explaining how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich while everyone kind of, just cringes in
I,
the room,
I
right?
put the two breads, I put the two breads and put the what on the jelly and the where? What? Yes, I love that video.
Right. And I think, we try and connect it, and that's why, when we build things, we build them over what's already in place, right? So streaming
Yeah.
and shoutcasting overlay for public speaking in a lot of institutions or in a lot of school situations. And so, having that voice and confidence is just a huge boost to kids, right? And you mentioned kind of just briefly in the beginning, but have you seen some real kind of tangible growth with students, expressing their voice and confidence, through shoutcasting or through the programs that you do at the College of Esports?
So much here, tons every day, but just going back to the experiences I've had watching high school esports organizations and streams and clubs uh, in all over the country, from high school to university. Seeing the growth there is huge because of stronger public speaking skills, presence, confidence. What really helps, I've noticed in a broadcast and streaming and shoutcasting as a team is the teamwork, the collaboration. I mean, with my students, I'm having them make racy charts so they know who's responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for things because I'm teaching students in events and media and they have to know these things. And on a work chart matters. My broadcast studio team of my seniors here at the university, I mean, they're the one. It's a student-led broadcast studio. I just step back. There's no reason for me to do anything. I literally am just there to make sure they don't bleed out. I mean, they do so, and they can run circles around me. They're great at what they do, and they know every button that I don't know because
Mhm.
I'm just there to look pretty. So I think what's fun is we even have a class. We have a whole semester called on-air broadcasting we do, and it's literally with one of my co-lecturer is the top League of Legends shoutcaster in Europe. And so he works with me. So we were hanging out today teaching some students about tech, but he has we have 2 or 3 weeks on poetry in shoutcasting and telling stories. And so he likes to use the soccer uh, commentators and sports commentators around the world and how they tie in the story of this guy running down the field and he's breaking loose and he's breaking through a brick wall and then as the goal is scored he then uses poetry at the end of and he built this house with this goal, like he tells a narrative. And so storytelling and communication when it comes to shoutcasting or streaming, it really really matters because there's a lot of adaptability. And not only that, but man, those skills definitely give you the growth that you don't have with just writing something, an essay. It gives you the growth that you would have in speech class. Because we all remember speech class and like our first speech, and I got to get up there and then I get the feedback and then I got a bad grade. We'll get better. So it's honestly about that, assessing and getting better as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that creativity part and like, what you mentioned with the poetry, I think that gets lost a
Mhm.
lot in shoutcasting, because people are thinking that, shoutcasting is I'm just sports commentating and I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not doing it for kind of the beauty of the words that I'm saying. I'm doing it for like right here in front of me. I'm just kind of relaying what I'm
Mhm.
seeing right through my eyes. And so I
Well,
think that's a
yeah.
great connection to add. Yeah.
As we teach in the gaming concepts curriculum, there's I can't remember if it's like lesson 5 or 6 or whatever it is about the two different types of on-camera talent of the color caster versus the gameplay caster, and you can't just only know how to play the game and talk about the game. You have to talk about the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, like you said, also, like, when you're talking about speech writing, it's going to get
Mm,
kids, more proficient in ELA, more proficient at a lot of these kind of skills that just need to be practiced more outside of English class, right? They just aren't
yeah,
practiced enough, for kids. There just sometimes isn't enough time in a
yeah,
teacher's day or in a school year for them to become masterful in speechcraft or speech writing, and some of the narration and stories that they're talking about.
yeah, totally, man.
Yeah.
I've worked with hundreds of on-air talent over the years in high school and university space, and watching them work just as much as me prepping for today. I'm creating the words that I need to make sure I deliver the writing of a script or having your notes and practicing just as much as if you were in drama or theater or debate. It's so exactly the same. It's
Mhm.
just preparing to tell a story and put on a show. And that's what you do when you jump up and you host. That's what you do when you get in front of the camera and you start talking about the players. You have to research the players just like in sports broadcasting. You have
Mhm.
to know not just a stat sheet that says this guy has 10 tackles last game. You need to know this number 48, he just have lost his parents, or that's all morbid. Best that's getting this is ESPN now. But whatever the story, there's a story to be told of wow, he came back from an injury. Let's go with that route. That's a lot better.
There you
Just
go.
edit that out earlier. Came back from injury and now he's got 17 touchdowns and it's all because the whatever. So the kind of research has to be done in esports, and you
Mhm.
have to know the game, you have to know your sport, you have to know your skill, and it takes a little research, and that is so valuable to have that critical thinking, that research that you need as a student academically as well, and then
Yeah,
it
which is
prepares
hard to
you
teach.
even
That
further.
critical thinking part is incredibly hard to teach, right? You have to meet these kids. They have to want to do it, right? It's the critical
Mhm.
thinking piece, I think, comes in so easily when you've connected it to something that students are engaged with and passionate about, right? So it's like all those buttons in your control room in the broadcast booth. It's like me, no idea, don't care, right? But it's like these kids that are there for purpose,
Yeah,
they want to know what all these buttons do because they want to expand themselves, they want to grow, they want to succeed, and they want to be on those forums, they want to be on those technical manuals and understand, what it takes to be the best broadcaster. And another point I want to make with this is that, right
hmm
now, the generation of shoutcasters and streamers we have are all kind of, homegrown. They've kind of learned everything as a passion project. What'll be
yes,
very interesting in the next coming years is going to be all of these people coming out of universities and coming out of programs where streaming and shoutcasting is being taught at an academic
Mhm.
level, to where
Mhm.
how that clashes with these kind of OG streamers and shoutcasters that
So true.
have ruled the scene for so long.
Yeah, I mean, look at Full Sail University with their Dan Patrick, is that the commentator? They have a whole school, like the Dan Patrick School of Broadcast, which is also where they do esports broadcast. And so, yeah, they're coming out of a place like that or other universities around the states or the globe. You're exactly right. And the first point as well, so much homegrown, so much trial and error from 1972 from the first esports event in at Stratford Stanford, there we go. And to all the StarCraft stuff in South Korea in 1999, 2000 to all the big events that are happening now. This is there's no academic structure until something like gaming concepts, something
Mhm.
like these universities. And it's much different. We're so young when whatever it was in the 40s, like the Leatherheads movie with George Clooney and John Krasinski, and that was the first commentators in American football. And 10 years later, oh, we should actually make this a university class. And that was
Yeah.
1950 or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're on that same pathway, just
Mhm.
2025.
Yeah. So I want to segue a little bit here and talk about
Yeah.
classroom integration because, we've looked at it from kind of a high level and gave some background,
Mhm.
streaming, shoutcasting. But it's like, if teachers are going to want to implement something like this, what would you say, like bare minimum, what do they need to have?
They really, the best thing you can start with is a teacher and to start small. Don't overcomplicate the tools. Don't think you have to buy every computer and widget. You don't have to go that route. You just need to have a teacher or an after school
Yeah.
sponsor or someone in using gaming concepts as part of your course that you already have running. Use those credits through the different pathways I'm sure we'll talk about, but start small because once you just set an interest level expectation, the interest will explode, and you probably will have students who like know how to use the computer in your lab to stream anyways because
Yeah.
they know how to hack it or whatever. They're already going to know this stuff.
Yeah.
And there's going to be students who don't know that, but have the skill of gab and they have charisma. So
Mhm.
they're an on-camera type personality. And getting, I mean, a webcam you probably already having. My first streaming in 2017 was on a crappy laptop on Twitch with horrible lighting, and I learned how to do it wrong for about a year. Do anything, learn.
Yeah.
And so starting small is important. And um, there's lots and lots of ways to tie this into the classroom beyond just saying I need to go big and wild. Otherwise, we won't entice the kids. You're going to entice the kids when you say the word esports, and you're going to entice the kids when you say gaming. So just say the words, and then
Yeah.
look, we bought some curriculum through Play versus Gaming Concepts. Teacher, you can tell your administrators, then say, cool, you got curriculum? Great, check. Go teach the
Okay.
class.
You did it. Yeah. Because it does connect a lot of things. Like we already mentioned,
Mhm.
streaming for us connects directly to public speaking in the high school
Mhm.
setting. And then shoutcasting for us directly connects with broadcast journalism. Because I mean,
Yeah.
they're the exact same skills. We're just using a different medium to deliver those skills or to show authenticity in those skills.
Yeah.
So I think, your tip on starting small, 100%. And and the same with starting esports, right? That's a tip kind of almost universal in esports is to start small because you get an esports program and a coach wants to do 5 games at once, and it's like, no, like let's start small. You
Mhm.
guys start with 1 game, you guys start with 1 camera and start small.
Mhm.
I was at a games conference a couple of months ago, and there was people talking about how they stream and shoutcast in their classrooms, and I thought it was great. One of them had camera and a feed that they
Mhm.
looped over the hallway into a broom closet so that they
Yeah.
wouldn't
Yeah.
have any sound sound pollution or whatever extra sound from the players, right? So the
Yeah.
casters would be in there, and they had
Yeah.
HDMI cables that ran over
That's
the
right.
brick wall through the ceiling and then into the other room so they could get the feed. And I was like, that is genius. Like, you're trying to make, you're making it work, and I love that. So,
Yeah,
uh,
sometimes that $40 HDMI cable that goes 100 feet is valuable.
yeah, completely worth it for sure. And I think also it revives classes that are starting to see a decline. We have these kind of traditional, very structured, very, entrenched programs in high schools like, broadcast journalism and
Right.
videography and public speaking. And it's like I think that
Hmm.
what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of decline in those because nothing's cool about broadcast journalism anymore, right? It used to be, hey, you got to go to the green screen room and you got to use the
Hmm.
big cameras and you could edit all this stuff. Well, now you can do all that on your phone. So it's like these
Hmm.
kids, I mean, they can edit, film, and produce a video in 20
Yep.
minutes on their phone without
Yep.
anything else. And so I think
Yeah.
what it does is it adds this kind of new authenticity to a course that's already on the books, to
Thousand
kind of
percent.
revitalize these programs because sometimes you start seeing dwindling numbers year after year after year, and then the program's gone and then it
Yeah.
doesn't come back.
Well, you're right, Alex. I mean, the tie in to journalism to, of course, CTE, which you should be using. Um, I think those pathways are really important because what I also what I love there's two great things I love about the gaming concepts. Okay, one, it's the new fun videos to see you guys in, you, Heidi,
Oh
Mike,
gosh.
Christie. I don't
Yeah.
know the other guy. I don't know the guy who was on the first one.
Sam.
The Sam, yeah, I was
Sam's
like,
the other guy.
God,
Yeah.
great content. It's so fun to hear your experience related through like a YouTube short like that.
Yeah.
And here's the other super nerdy thing for administrators and the wide the wild world of education in America, especially, is the standards. And I think having standards for every state like you do, with gaming concepts is super, super important. And I remember those conversations for years and years and how every state needing its own standard, whether it be an A or a B or a C or a G or whatever in California to other states. Like that's a huge thing that not a lot of curriculum has out there. A lot of curriculum is just like do some stuff and maybe it works. There's
Yeah.
extra time and effort put into gaming concepts, and the standards is definitely the reason why.
Well, thank you, Bub. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it because not as former teachers, I taught for 10 years, and everyone on the education team also taught for a good number of years as well. We know that
Mhm.
time is teachers' most valuable resource, and if you have to get a curriculum and then have to align it to your own standards, we aren't going
Mhm.
to make you do that. So we do that for you, with
Mhm.
all the standards.
It's done.
But I wanted to go back. It's really funny you're talking about
Yeah.
the I'm going to call them TikTok videos, but the YouTube shorts that we've been making as
Yeah.
an education team. Talk about talk about practicing what you preach for a
Yeah,
curriculum,
right.
right? Because
Uh,
we write some great stuff, but it's like we write it, we hand it to other people to do, right? And
yeah.
it's definitely different. You're learning that fail forward kind of mentality on these videos as we have dozens and dozens and maybe hundreds of
Mhm.
takes on some of these 30-second
Oh,
videos.
please, a blooper reel of
Maybe one
Christy,
day.
please, talking about video games. Christy, please put together. I know you're in the chat and you're like listening and writing probably a new book or something right now, but literally, please put together a blooper reel just for
We'll do it
me
for
and send it to me
Christmas.
only.
There you go. So, and so talking about failing forward, right? There's Christy. Yeah, yeah, it would be good. Talking about, failing forward, we have, the mentality of that. But,
Mm, mm,
getting kids in streaming and shoutcasting can be
yeah,
quite I don't know how to say it, kind of a shock sometimes, right? They may think that they want to do it, but it could be something that is very difficult for them, right? But learning to speak publicly, learning to kind of build yourself in confidence has a huge boost in preventative mental health and helping them, kind of overcome some other fears and issues that they might be experiencing in
yeah.
school. So I wonder with, the amount of students that you deal with, if you've seen streaming and shoutcasting help students kind of build resilience in facing the number one thing
Oh,
that you
yeah.
deal with streaming and shoutcasting is criticism or public mistakes, which is why we always have the comments turned off on things like this. So
Um, man, I saw it all last year with 18-year-olds, and I saw how we had so Foxdrop is my co lecturer who he's worked for League of Legends and done stuff with the national leagues, and he's just millions of views, this guy. And he's sitting there having a conversation. He's been a teacher for a while, but working with students, he didn't do a ton. So he's flexing his muscles as well. But he's done a lot of coaching for other casters over the years and worked with like really, really talented, famous people. And so he's gotten feedback from people. So when he's giving this feedback to students about trying something different with their on camera broadcasting, or delivering something a little crisper, or taking your time and breathing, or you rush this. I saw different personalities from the students take that as, we're human, we're going to be defensive, and some of us more than others. And after kind of delivered that feedback to a student, student got defensive. It's like, oh, I was doing this. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We're here to learn, and we're here to learn. And also, like, this is gonna help. So let's look at it again. And that resilience through just feedback alone, through what we do in education of assessing you where you are, helping meet you where you're at, teaching you something, and then assessing what you learned. That's super, super valuable. So I do see how building resilience through, especially mistakes on a live stream, which, if you've ever had your first 3 or 4 times live streaming on whatever channel ever, with OBS software or other broadcast software, to just stream to YouTube or even to Instagram live on your phone, every single person has an issue with audio. Every single person, the first times, and not just the first time, but I'm sure I could have had an issue today because I haven't loaded up OBS in a while. And I did. I had to push in my inputs for my mic. So there's a ton of resilience, especially live. And I think the constructive feedback is good, but oh, wow, there's the resilience through practical experience is way better than feedback a few weeks later on a paper. And
yeah.
that practical experience inside a classroom where they can make mistakes and they can get some coaching. And guess what? There's a ton of really good videos out there that people can watch to learn how to shoutcast and stream really, really well. And there's actually really good discords out there of hundreds of shoutcasters from America that is out there. I don't know. I probably won't share it just because, if you want it, you can DM me on LinkedIn. I'll get it to you. But there's a really, really good tool for shoutcasting. That's a Discord for a lot of learning.
Yeah, and you
Oh,
mentioned
and gaming
something there.
concepts.
Oh yeah, that too. Um, you mentioned something that's important,
Hmm.
and that's the safety aspect of doing something like this, right? Because
Yeah.
whenever you do something new for the first time, you're going to be apprehensive about it. You're going to have issues with it, and gaming concepts, or having that teacher in the room. More importantly, having that teacher in the room with you can create that safe space, right? And so we can
Hmm.
have teachable moments about what proper feedback can look like, how we can support and uplift each other, and how we can build kind of an inclusive community around each other through our shoutcasting and streaming failures, right? And so we can
Mm.
fail forward with purpose,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
think that is something that is can be a huge boost to students' mental health, because otherwise, if you're just out there at home and you're doing it by yourself without any instruction, without any guidance, without an adult, you're going to see students decline in mental health because they're going to be getting crazy comments, or they're going to be getting negative feedback, and without any of the
Yeah.
proper support structures.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, gosh, if you want to learn how to not read the YouTube comments, go follow some major creators, and they will all tell you the failure of diving into every comment, everything about whatever video they posted in their teeth or their hair or whatever. There's so much what is the term is called online disinhibition of keyboard warriors, and it's really definitely got to be taught. And I think a safe space in an esports club after school or during a class is super, super helpful, um, to show those opportunities. And I think to some of the question kind of ideas here in the chat is, even if you're doing something at home, maybe that would be a teacher or whatnot doing that at home, or a student. There's going to be that hard skin, creation and resilience built. And yeah, social media is not fun, but it's what's around right now. And I encourage you to watch things like Social Dilemma as a parent, and things like Childhood 2.0 to understand social media a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I want to get to a couple of questions. We're getting some in the chat, and I want to make
Great,
sure they don't get lost
great.
in the
All
sea
right,
of
I'm
questions
ready.
and comments in here. So Scott writes that he's got 11 teams across 9 games.
Hmm.
They've been doing it for 5 years, and he wants to implement shoutcasting, but hasn't yet. They have the material, but really need another room and more
Hmm.
assistance to grow into that direction. Do
Okay.
you have any
Yeah.
advice or anything that he
Yeah,
can do to get going on that?
sure. If you're, I mean, that's great that you have material, and I guess equipment is what you mean in the sense of material. And do you need another room? Yeah, if it's doable. You just heard Alex talk about running a cable over the doorway. Um, but if you have the ability to maybe use one of your PCs, if you're having games in the same room, do whatever you can to just set up another one with a camera facing a wall, like with their back to a wall. Like that's the best way to start. And then if you then prove to your administration, look at what our students are doing. They're not just playing games. They're doing journalism, by the way. And so, yeah, I encourage to maybe use that room. I'll go to the next question here for while you're Eslin Clark. Suggest running a shoutcasting program from home. Our program is new but large, and we aren't able to play the games from school because of funding. However, okay, very common thing I've heard many many times. However, I have some students that would be interested in shoutcasting at home. How do you think of that? Okay, a lot of safety concerns there, sadly, but doable with the right safeguarding and safety tools in place. They're already streaming from home, doing it as part of an activity with school. Just have a conversation with administration, but you could definitely be done. Definitely wouldn't loan anything out for kids to take home. They probably already got a Chromebook, and they lose that all the time. So yes, it's already being done at home. So use the
Yeah.
students and they're contract employees pretty much at that point in the normal world. So they're at
Yeah.
home producing just like I have in my studio here producing. So I
Yeah. And
definitely
maybe,
encourage it. Just put the things in place.
yeah, put things in place, get a permission slip going.
Mhm.
And even, close the stream down if that's a concern with parents or administration, have those videos only circulated among parents or in a group of parents of kids that are doing it, not shared to out online. And we have a lot of schools that are with us that do that kind of closed network, CCTV, the streams are only broadcast in school, instead of putting them on YouTube. And that's 100% what you're going to is going to be based on your community and based on your school. So
I think HA has a good comment, and Scott, you had a good comment above, but HA, you did say about pre-recorded videos. We're actually doing that right now with some of our late our esports university team has late matches, and we just really can't use our studio like past 8, 9 o'clock. So we're getting those VODs, and then we were doing maybe another day highlight recap videos, as well as maybe playing the VOD and acting like it's live as we live stream. So that's a
yeah,
really good tool. Plus, some of that taking the stress off of a live thing going out, the pre-recorded part of it, it's actually pretty helpful to put out as content.
yeah. And
Real quick, I'm getting a small text.
I can never, kind of promote this guy on YouTube enough. There's a guy on YouTube that does um, shoutcasting in real life. And he just sits at a
Yeah, yeah,
cafe and
yeah.
shoutcasts people
That
walking
guy.
across the street. And
Yeah, you showed me that.
it's a
I
British
remember.
guy. It's the funniest
Yeah.
thing. You watch four moms pushing a stroller, and he's calling it like a derby. And it
Yeah.
is the funniest thing. So practicing that, right, getting those things down, the basics and the
Hmm.
fundamentals, the kids getting used to doing it. Just send them out in the hallway with a mic and their phone or whatever, and have them record what's going on, right? Just have them shoutcast, life going by in the hallway, and you'll get a really good laugh out of it. Um, Okay, good. Very good. Perfect. Very good. I wanted to get to those questions. So,
Yeah.
talking about, we've kind of hit the highlights here, of streaming and shoutcasting. But streaming and shoutcasting ultimately is part of esports, and what you're doing is content creation, right? So, streaming and shoutcasting are often entry points into broader like media roles. So, where
Yes.
are kids going? Because everyone can't be a shoutcaster. Like that's just
Hmm.
not it's not a thing. If it was, that we would live in a really weird world where there'd be so much content, I guess, even more content that we'd have. But
Hmm.
not everyone's going to make it as that. So where are you seeing kids go who have learned these skills, streaming, shoutcasting? Where are you seeing them go or find jobs at? Because you're at that next level, you're at the collegiate level.
Hmm.
Where are they going?
So much transferable skills, guys. So many transferable skills. And I'll tell you, with artificial intelligence, I want students to know, and this is what we teach, and this is what I write about, is I want students to know that they need to develop their leadership, critical skills, empathy, soft skills, because being a generalist is going to be better than being a specialist in things. So students need to know a lot of things because um, it's not because AI is coming for your jobs. AI is great for people who know how to use it, and those are the people getting jobs. Now, out in the world, the translation here in is sports broadcasting still. If we're
Mhm.
talking about how they're out there in the world giving getting opportunities, those transferable skills they would use and learn in esports, a club, or in a broadcast studio for school, for sports. It's super duper simple for that content creation to be done on a. I kind of want to relate that what we do is we pretty much run at our university an actual professional esports team. So, and that's how a lot of universities in the states are. Like Maryville is in St. Louis, and they are someone labeled them a professional esports team with college jerseys. They're that good, but they make amazing content. They have a great facility, but they've also won a lot of stuff, so they have a lot of money. But these esports teams that you see, like Optic Gaming and Envy in Texas, or Fnatic, which is also here in the US, and in Germany, there's tons and tons of pro esports teams. They operate like a sports team and when it comes to media and production and broadcast. So if you think about these students creating their own professional esports org at your school, and then they do that in the university, what's they already have what resumes are asking for. Hey, you need a degree and 3 to 5 years of experience. Guess what they did in high school for 4 years and maybe a couple of years in college? They got a couple of years of experience running an esports organization. They can go work a lot of places now. And that's the struggle we have with after you get your bachelor's degree is you need 3 to 5 years experience. What are you talking about? I've been in school full time. How can I do that? Well, guess what? Put it on your resume. I was the broadcast director for our 55 person esports team, and I
Hmm.
produce weekly broadcasts, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Super, super helpful.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we teach.
Talk about transferable skills, right? It's like, and if you need help with transferable skills, talking, those kids talking to your teacher, like you may not notice that, yeah, you were doing streaming and shoutcasting or you were the team manager for that time, but it's like other things that you can put on there, like, organizational skills, time management skills, like critical thinking. There's a lot of extrapolations that you can pull out of your experience just by having a conversation with somebody to bounce ideas off of and to get
Yeah.
those kind of things out there. So I'm seeing, Scott, I love all the comments and everything.
Yeah.
I want to ask about funding because that's not something that we were going to talk about, but that's obviously you got to pay for all this stuff. Bubba, how do you want to give us some money? How do we do this? How do we get money for this stuff?
Well, as I said earlier, starting small is valuable because that's where you should start if you're starting out. That's where you should start if you're starting out. What redundant conversation? What am I speaking American English or British English now? Starting small is good.
Mhm.
How do you get funding? Where do you get funding? Different funding opportunities out there, government agencies. Man, I will tell you right now, esports as a industry is a 60% sponsorship type organization. It's not a sustainable model for our industry. I just went to Riyadh uh, last month, 2 months ago, in went to the Esports World Cup. That's a $70 million prize pool separated out of 25 different game titles in this amazingly beautiful, enormous fairgrounds in the middle of the desert in Riyadh. Beautiful, amazing. I felt so welcomed, but it's not a sustainable model unless you've got a bunch of oil money, obviously. Different operation there. But the idea of looking at esports, the model right now can in professional and other things can be used with sponsorship. So just I'll always say just as much as the basketball team has a banner up in the gym with such and such State Farm Tom and his smile and he paid $100 to put that banner up or $1,000 to put that banner up, use local sponsorships the same way on your live streams, on your jerseys,
Yep.
maybe not as much as a NASCAR thing, but like that sponsorship is super duper helpful
Yeah.
as that private opportunity. And when it comes to streaming and shoutcasting and producing a show, you've got to think of it the same way when there's a B-roll or some bumper or some ad in a sports broadcast where it's thanks, Tom, for State Farm for sponsoring this episode of the football game. You know,
Yeah.
you could do the same thing, maybe not with a country boy radio voice on a video game shoutcast, but it's extremely helpful and one of the ways you need to use and need to seek out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
not easy asking for
sponsorships,
money, though.
say that again, Bubba.
It's not easy asking for money. I totally know
Yeah,
that.
it's not. Yeah, so sponsorship model, get your local community involved, get your PTA involved, get whoever you can get for sponsorship. Another good funding source is going to be the building funds, right? Where the money's coming at into your school. So when I did esports, we did a number of the equipment through a Perkins grant, which allows for new and innovative technologies. And in the 10 years that I dealt with Perkins grant, literally meant anything that plugged in, right? So one year, a new and innovative technology for us was a drill press, which has been around for hundreds of years, but it was new and innovative to us. And so, because we needed a new one, and Perkins covered that, as well as the esports equipment. Another benefit to the gaming concepts curriculum, if that's the path you go, is that we oftentimes qualify for um, counseling money, social emotional learning money, mental health money, whatever you want to call it. That pool of money is available to be used on stuff with art because of the amount of work we've done to integrate mental health or preventative mental health strategies and components into the curriculum. So that's another bucket you can possibly dip into. Another bucket is that you have started small and you have done this grassroots campaign, and you show the Board of Education, take your kids up there and show them, hey, this is what we've been doing. We just wanted to give you an update on, Mr. Smith's esports class, and these are the things that we've been doing. Show them some data and let them know we're really looking forward to help, you helping us out continue to do this, right? And tell them some stories. It's oftentimes hard for a school district or a school board to say no to a bunch of kids who worked really hard on a project and are asking for a couple $100 or $1,000 or don't ask for the moon going up there, but you can definitely supplement with some of those strategies for sure. Just reading some of the comments here. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to know everybody's situation. But Scott, let's chat a little bit after this, and we can keep going.
For sure.
So looking at the future, right? We've got a little bit of time left, and then we can leave time for comments. Let's finish, kind of the our thoughts here by looking ahead. So where do you see shoutcasting and streaming education heading in the next 5 years, Bubba?
Districts should be scaling this program. Districts should be scaling gaming concepts district-wide, county-wide. I know some of you guys mentioned that. You should be implementing this as part of your curriculum. There's no better way to do that than through gaming concepts in the states for sure, through standards, through pathways, through all the acronyms known to man in education. The next 5 years, if you're not too late to be an early adopter. Let's put it that way. You're not too late to be an early adopter, but it's ending, and there may be a point where you may not be able to get that funding because it got put off. So start small, prove things, just like Alex said. And I think over the next 5 years, content creation as a pathway. I'm not sure how many Department of Education or every state or any board of regents or whoever has done that, or schools or whatever in each state. If a pathway is done in journalism right now, I don't know, maybe Christy knows this, but like, is there going to be a pathway in content creation because of the growth of social media? Is there going to be a pathway in AI? Is there going to be a pathway in esports? Is there going to be a pathway in things? Because maybe journalism is too small for esports. Maybe it is. Maybe speech is too small for shoutcasting. So be a part of the movement. I would encourage you to do that. And then people like Alex and Mike and Heidi and Christy and Sam, like, these people are on the cutting edge of this industry right now. And go along with the ride, because you may be able to help create a new pathway in some journal or whatever all the acronym books are of all the pathways. And I can't remember them all. It's been a while since I've talked about it, but I think that it's going that direction. I don't know if it's being talked about in the States. In the UK, they just created a digital literacy or something pathway for like the end of the high school years. And so that's now a kind of 21st century is probably what we call it in the States, like a 21st century type high school pathway or degree or whatever that prepares them for university. And that's already accepted by the government. So there's states probably out there doing this, but jump on it now and be a part of this rather than just waiting and doing the same old thing. Try video games. The kids are playing them.
Kids are playing them, and really that's where we're talking about, right? Like we have tried a million things. Those of you that are teachers on here, we have tried a million things to get kids engaged. It's been one thing after another. We've tried a million things to increase mental health in this country and across the
Mm.
world for students, right? And realistically, not much of it works or sticks, right? And so we are finding is that we are also doing research on this as we are writing these books, is that you have to meet students where they are, and where students are right now is online playing video games, right? That is their world. And so I think that we can learn to embrace it and meet them there and provide them with a safe place online and with structure and with a caring adult to provide them with guidance there, and then to show them the transferable skills that come out of that. Or we can continue to be afraid of it, and we can continue to second guess it, and we can continue to kind of demonize it, where students are going to continue to be pushed further on and further on and further on to where they don't care about education anymore because they know that they can make six figures streaming by themselves, right? They don't need high school, right? But we don't want to push people to the fringes, right? We want to
Yeah.
embrace everybody in, and we want to make sure that they're in a safe and secure environment, and that everybody can learn from it.
Alex, you said the sexy words, mental health. You know the social emotional learning. I don't know how sexy that is here and there, in different states. But you said mental health, and you got gaming concepts mental health study that was done these last few years. You need to use that as a resource, and you need to use it as leverage to prove the benefits of academia in esports
Yeah.
for attendance and quality. And I think if you want another data point, the JAMA Network 2019, the study was about depression in teenagers compared to screen time, TV, social media, regular computer use, and video games were studied. The only thing that didn't have an association with depression was video games.
Can you link that, Bubba? You throw that
I
in
sure can.
chat? Appreciate it. So yeah, as we close up here, I'm going to leave a few minutes for questions here. I do want to remind you, if you're looking to do shoutcasting, you want to do some stuff, check out our YouTube page, Gaming Concepts on YouTube. We have a ton of videos that Bubba has helped us out with on learning how to use OBS and learning how to stream and shoutcast. So please check those out, and also other talks and other webinars that we do about how gaming concepts and how esports can help and benefit kids and benefit schools. And if you're serious about this, you want to get on board, contact us. Head over to playversus.com to be able to get in touch with somebody to talk about how this can benefit your school. And we literally have everything any of your administrators will ask about in terms of, is this real? How does it work? How serious is this? What's the relevance? What's the rigor? We literally have everything that you would ever need to get this approved in a district. And it's not just for small districts or big districts, it's any district, right? We are across the board. Schools are using us all over the place, right? So it's not just a certain size of school. So yeah, Bubba, last words, closing wrap up.
If if you're if you have questions and you don't know where to go and you're trying to figure things out and you're getting pushback, the experts, there's one right here, Alex. He's done it. He's
Yeah.
done it in school, and now he talks about how he did it at school from an organization, Play Versus and Gaming Concepts, that is actively there to help you. Talk
Mhm.
to Mike, talk to Christy, talk to Heidi, talk to Sam, talk to
Yep.
the team. They know this stuff. They know this stuff, and whatever resources they have available, you need to seek those out. Some of you already have gaming concepts. Good. What's the next level? And what's the next level? Go do more research. Come to my LinkedIn. Read whatever you want.
Yep.
Challenge me. Challenge me on LinkedIn about things, and the team and the conglomerate of esports nerds will come to support you. So if you need support, we're there. Anything you need, just the gaming concepts.
Yeah.
This
And if you
team
want
is
to reach out
amazing.
to me on LinkedIn, yeah, if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Alex Herbe on LinkedIn, and Bub has already offered it a few times, Bubba Gaeddert. But I want to leave you with this before I open it up for questions and stop the recording is, we have the research, we have the stories, we have the tools. Now, will we have the courage to use them?